Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we're going to be checking out a track from an act named KVRB TRIP titled Estelle. And if we switch over to here, we have the track on the screen, the video on YouTube. We're going to be listening through this track from start till finish. I'm going to hear what we think. Let's go, let's do this. What are we getting ourselves into? This is my first time with these guys. Got a kind of gothic a bit of animosity there. I kind of dig it. Interesting effects on those guitars. Kind of adore it. I love the panning of the guitars as well. They simmer and sort of swirl around your head alongside these vocals. I don't know why I was not expecting it to hit like that. Having the guitar, the bass, the drums come in like that, it hits like a train. It's so full-bodied. That kind of corrupted, you know, it's a great melodic concept, but the tone of it is just so unusual and unnerving. It works so well, especially with what's going on in the music video. It's all very well connected, it makes a lot of sense. It's heavy as hell, man, and the vocals are nicely leveled with everything else. It's filthy, man. I dig it. And it's not just one vocal take either. There's multiple takes of it. It's really dissonant and kind of not edgy, because I think this legitimately has some heft to it, you know? It's kind of like it's trying to suffocate you a little bit. Nice. I can feel you in my room, but the darkness it consumes. So I'm assuming Estelle is a name of a lady? It's a lady's name? Is this what that person is doing to them? Great bit of vocal fry there. Oh, and the attention to detail with just the texture of those synths is so malformed. Great solo section. Great choice here. The mix is fierce. Those guitars, everything is so loud, so present in the mix, but so well balanced at the same time. I think we'll work with some flat second intervals on that lead line on top. Changing the groove of the alternate palm muted pass on the guitar. Excellent choice here. Nice work letting it come down a little bit, you know? The vocal performance is utterly sensational. It makes so much sense with this type of music. It's so wispy and strange and uncomfortable to listen to, but it matches the lyrics well. Leave me alone. It sounds like someone's going insane, becoming decrepit because of the experience they're having inside their head. Like, part of what makes this type of music slap so hard is that you have this immense dynamic range here, or a difference in perceived loudness. You have quieter bits and louder bits, and I know that may seem obvious, but it's really not. After doing like 1,000 of these reviews, it's really not. You know, like you need to have points where it goes down and simmers a bit. You're left with like maybe the drums and the bass and the vocals and some weird synthy bits or some leads, and then have other parts where it ascends and then comes down and crashing upon your head, bashing your eardrums in. Let there be change. Let there be contrast. It makes it more exciting. You can't have everything loud or quiet, you know? Oh yeah. Great choice there. That just extra intensity in their vocal performance isn't something we've necessarily had before. Takes it to the next level. It's just desperation and agony. And it just ends. You have that phenomenal reverb chain on the percussion now, and you're just left to absorb what the hell just happened, man. Because this is the conclusion of my review of KVRB TRIP's Estelle. What do I think this track is about? I mean, I think my rough understanding of it is that I think this person is being affected by someone. Maybe they're possessed by them. Maybe those memories they have of that person when they're dead, the way they were before, just they never escape, and they feel this immense guilt at them not being there. It borders on obsession, and it's warping their brain and making them feel incredibly awful, you know. And I think maybe they're getting these visions that we're talking about within this music video, which is why I'm glad we have a music video for this. I think the track would have still been meaningful and interesting to listen to. Just having that additional element helps a lot. Though to be fair, I have been focusing more on the audio elements because I'm less knowledgeable about video production and such. But all in all, though, I think it's an interesting thing to talk about. A lot of people suffer from their own demons, and a lot of people are haunted by their experience with others, whether for better, you know, whether they were directly responsible for what happened or other people affecting them. So, you know, like, I think a lot of people will be able to relate to what this track is about. I think additional to that, you know, the vocal performance itself is absolutely stunning and stellar within the genre. I think that while you wouldn't be able to pull off this kind of vocal technique or way of approaching it with every single genre of music, rock and metal and all the different subgenres, especially metal, all the different subgenres within that, I think that it works flawlessly. It's very authentic. It seems like he really is in the zone and in the, you know, he is absolutely feeling it when he screams and sings like that. You know, there's these little bits of attention to detail with like the emotional response to certain lines and the way that he dubs them in certain ways to make it seem more tense and sort of a little bit of strain in there, you know. But he's also got a great vocal technique that not only with the melodies compelling and the notes hit, but there are also just to be able to get, especially that visceral kind of growl at the end, that visceral scream at the end, that wouldn't have hurt his vocal cords, because I think this guy knows how to sing in a way that allows them to be able to do that, and I'm thankful, because I hope these guys have a long career, especially if they're making music like this. Last thing you need is scarring on your vocal cords. It's fantastic to be able to hear music like this. I don't get to review it that often, but it's always a unique experience, because what I love about this kind of genre of music is not only like the semi-unique way of doing the vocals, but it's also just the structuring of it. Like, you have these immense breakdowns on top of the choruses and the verses, and such range dynamically and often thematically between them, tonally and in regards to the overall musicality of it. We had different chord progressions, different bass lines. There were distinct verse and chorus and interlude sections and little bits of a solo part, and you know, there was just lots to appreciate there. We weren't lacking in any facet of it. And this track was 4 minutes 11, which is, you know, it's not a short track. Nowadays, you typically want a single between 2 and 4 minutes, but I actually do not think that this track would have benefited from being shorter. I think that the real estate within it was used well. I think that we needed to build that, especially to have that big climax at the end where he really sort of like belted it on the mic, and everything else just came and sort of hit back, and it was a journey that I don't think we could have done differently. The actual performance itself was absolutely spectacular. I mean, like the guitar parts, drums, bass, everything. These phenomenally massive rhythm guitar parts with these power chords and these like really kind of caustic, kind of toxic, sort of strained held notes that are really kind of tune into the animosity caused by holding those distorted notes and the dissonance that comes from that. We have these lead lines that are sinister and airy, and then the bass just thuds. It just comes in there and just rounds it out and just bashes you, and but it's also kind of weirdly smooth as well. It's really well EQ'd and balanced, and it is supportive of the drums as well. And like with the drums, especially with like rock and metal, I mean, I know those are like oranges and like a sack of meat, right? I know they're so different nowadays, but you know, when I listen to like kind of doom or sludge metal or something like that, I suppose this kind of remind me of that. The drums aren't usually frenetic or like wild or like super like 16 30 second oriented. It's not like we're going for like power metal or speed metal or something like that. It's fantastic to just be able to have that eighth note groove there, and it just saunders and meanders, and it just kind of carries you there as if you're like a dead weight. And it's just the vocals are so elegant on top of everything in that mid to high range. It's such a great choice of singer, because if you get someone in that low end, it's going to be a hell of a time EQing them unless you're careful. I like the fact as well that we understood when to take instruments away and when to bring them back in. Especially with that part with the flat second interval going between those notes on the lead guitar there. It was just so full and thick sounding, and they were on the verge of maybe it being too much, but then it would have been appropriate nonetheless because of the style of music we're doing. So they've definitely got the right idea in regards to their arrangement, the structuring, and the overall performance. There was not a note out of place there. It was absolutely beautiful. It was beautiful in the way that this kind of music intends. The production, recording, mixing, and mastering was spectacular. The actual quality of the recording instruments was phenomenal. The EQing and various effects changes on the various instruments, including the vocals, was absolutely stunning. The kind of vocals gave me an early 90s kind of Alice in Chains kind of vibe there, which I kind of appreciate. But then you had the real visceral, like, you know, I use visceral a lot, but, you know, that kind of harsher vocal style later on, that kind of took it to the next level. I'm glad we didn't give that out too early. I'm glad we teased the listener to have it come in later. The leveling of the instruments and mix was fantastic. You know, there was not a single thing that was weirdly resonant. It was nice and full in the stereo field. And there were it was notched on the frequency spectrum. And then finally, the limiting compression, it was nice and loud without pumping. Again, as I mentioned, there were differences in perceived loudness between like the verse sections where the distorted guitars came out, and the chorus, for example, where everything came in, and it was just haunting. And before I go, this is not to avoid mentioning some of those really uncomfortable but utterly fascinating synth parts and little wow, 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 those kind of weird oscillations going on like a worm wiggling through your brain. I think like when you look back at some of the lyrics and you compare the foreshadowing we got with the tone of those instruments and the purpose of them, it makes a lot of sense. Really well thought out. Really strong track. And that's effectively my review of KVRB TRIP's Estelle. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do check out KVRB TRIP's various social medias and their YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as you need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.